Imagine somebody, your mom is pushing you to write a murder mystery. That's so cool. I mean, your chapters also have the timestamps on it.
Yes.
So that is something very unique. I mean, everybody don't do that. So was there a particular reason behind adding it? What exactly is the difference between when it comes to a thriller and a mystery? So is there any real incidences that inspired for this story?
I wouldn't want to make name or buck or money from somebody's who's gone through it. So my research involved around 2-3 aspects. One was, there are a few cliches that come to your mind, Dikra and Bawa, how a body behaves after it dies.
As a writer, from your book 1 to your book 3, how have you changed your writing style?
If you've written shit, I'm not doing it. If there are grammatical errors in it, I'm not doing it.
We all grew up reading murder mysteries, and it's something that we always been very excited about, because other than our daily school homework, when we started reading, murder mysteries gave us the excitement that we wanted in. And it could be murder, it could be a treasure hunt. We literally grew up reading Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys and Famous Five, and then slowly we started graduating into books with Agatha Christie also. So what about the Indian authors? Do we have authors in India who are writing good murder mysteries, which we can say proudly is as good as an Agatha Christie novel as well? So welcome back to another episode of The Next Show with Naghma. And today with me, I have an author whose book is my recent favorite book. Being a murder mystery lover, I have been in love with this book, The Murder in Dehradun, and I'm so happy to welcome Siddharth Maheshwari onto the show. Welcome, Siddharth.
Thank you, Naghma. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Out of all the genres that you could write about, how did you end up writing a murder mystery?
Yeah, well, the thing is that my first 2 books were spy thrillers. The first one was titled Lynchpin, The Best Laid Schemes of Mice and Men, and Veil of Shadows. So they were to do with the geopolitics of India. And so all the locations that I used were real, inspired by true-ish events, headlines, and so it was quite a story which was on the marks of believability. And so everybody loved it. And that's what I thought would be my forthcoming books about. But my mother started egging me that, you've written 2 spy thrillers. You've done what you wanted. Now, and then she's a big Agatha Christie fan. So you should write a murder mystery. And I was like, there is no way I should go down that road, because the moment you talk about murder mysteries, there is a very big name, Agatha Christie, and unwantedly there will be comparisons and people will try to draw parallels, and it's a tough space to be in. So I told her no, but then she was persistent. So I said, okay, fine. If I have to write one, then I will do so, wherein I'm able to leave the clues as we are going in the story for the readers to keep thinking about them, and they should try to solve it with the detective. So in this case, it's a female lead. So because in the end, when she explains, and that aha moment should come, that and the reader should feel, oh, this is where we missed, these are the clues that we missed, and this is why this person is the killer, and these people are not the killers. So that was something that I was striving to achieve. This is what I was persistent about, that I didn't want that in the end, just by some excuse, I reveal some information just in the end, and because of that person is declared as the killer. So I was able to do it, and I guess that's how the book came about.
Killed somebody. I don't know. But yeah, seriously, hats off to your mom, because normally we have the perception, I mean, every parent, they tell you, okay, go read something that's useful or your
Right.
textbooks. And
Right.
somebody, your mom is pushing you to write a murder
Yeah.
mystery. That's so cool. I mean,
Right.
hats off to her. But then, yes, as a reader, what you just
Right.
said, that you wanted to leave the clues and you
Right.
wanted the reader picking up those clues.
Yeah.
This was successful. Like, as a reader, I did that, and like you were telling at the end, when the main detective, when Shehnaz is revealing
Yeah.
one by one why person A is not the murderer,
Yes.
and you're like, okay, my
Yes.
deduction was correct. And then when she's revealing something else, I'm like, I never remember having this. When did
Yes,
this happen?
when did this
So
happen?
you're like, okay, you wanted to go back.
You
So
wanted
I
to
think
go
you have very successfully kept your reader engaged. So
Right.
congratulations
Thank
to you
you.
on that.
Thank
So
you.
while you were writing,
Yeah.
while you were creating these clues,
Mm.
because if you at the end of somebody is picking up
Yeah.
and telling that these were actually the clues. So
Yeah.
in your writing journey,
Yeah.
when you're preparing
Yeah.
your writer's note or
Yeah.
however,
Yeah.
what was this journey like? How did you build these clues and how did you pin all of them together?
So see, for me, it was like the story needed to have a basis,
Mhm.
right? And the basis that I chose was human emotions,
Okay.
like how probably the engineers would get it. We reverse engineer a problem, like we go backwards, right? This is the solution, and then we start breaking it apart. I'm not an engineer. I have a commerce background. This is something, it's a skill that I learned on the go.
Okay.
So this is where I want to reach. And now I start reducing it step by step. You like how you peel out
Okay.
an orange,
Okay.
step by step, you go back.
Uh-huh.
So human emotions was something that, I wanted to delve into, because
Mm.
humans are grey. Then so greed is one of the factors that I used.
Yeah.
Then their idiosyncrasies. Every character is blown up
Yeah.
in terms of their quirks and
Yeah.
and how they think, the problems that they have.
Yeah.
They're already rich,
Mm.
right? They're already rich.
Filthy
So now, how do you make the rich seem even more greedy? That was also, I had to convince the reader for that also.
Mm.
So then they get some more money, and now everybody's eyeing that, right?
True.
They are set for life.
Yeah.
They have a family trust which pays for
Yeah.
their expenses, this and that,
Yeah.
and everything. But
Yeah.
still, everybody wants that
More money.
for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And so I started making characters around. So I made the layout of the estate first in my head. That this is how they would probably be living, and then I drew it out on a paper.
Yeah.
When I drew it out, there were just rectangles highlighting where everything is,
Yeah.
before I nagged my lovely wife to actually make the illustrations and make
Yeah.
it come alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I made the plan, the house plan as to how they live. They would probably be living, and then things, and then I started breaking down the characters.
Okay.
Leaving of the clues happened much later.
Okay.
Like first it was the characteristics, their journey.
Yeah.
Once you give them a face in your head, then probably you understand what irritates them and how they look when they're irritated.
True.
Like and what are the things that would probably they would laugh about.
Yeah.
And then you start breaking it down and getting it into their headspace, probably, if that makes sense. And then when the story is taking a course, you want to take the reader, you want them to think in a particular way.
Okay.
So you try to leave some clues,
Yeah.
and then you leave your main clue just somewhere in the midst of all of that. So
It's like
that
a big game.
it is like puzzle solving.
Yeah, lovely. So, when I'm reading a book,
Right.
or let's say if it's any other genre or a romance or something, I personally feel the character depth is important.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to a thriller or a mystery, for that matter, then like when we watch a horror movie also, the moment, because you know that it's a horror movie,
Yeah.
they show you an empty corridor, we are already scared that thinking something is going to come.
Yeah.
So we already have that perception.
That perception.
So when you talk about the characters inside a murder mystery,
Right.
as a reader, you're always eyeing every single person
Yes.
with a very suspicious eye.
Yes.
So the detailing that you need to go into
Yeah.
with each of these characters,
Yeah.
it needs to be a little bit more in depth. So now that you've kind of played around with your writing with multiple genres,
Yeah.
how different is it when it comes to a murder mystery, like building your character?
So see, okay, how I'll tell you is, in my first two books, it was more about the creating tension because there is an urgency to solve a problem which is at a national level.
Okay.
Right, that
Yeah.
probably a bomb's gonna go off,
Okay.
or there is a terrorist attacked you,
Yeah.
some device has been stolen,
Yeah.
a nuclear scientist has been killed. So the urgency itself gets created because of the situation,
Okay.
right? So the reader automatically feels tense, that oh my god, this might happen.
Yeah.
And then there's a feeling of chase, even if the officers are trying to decipher, even if they're at a crime scene where something has happened, that feeling of chase is already there. It's not a literal chase in a literal sense, but you know that somebody's on the heels, that they have started putting things together. So that feel of urgency is there, and that's how the character depth then probably takes a secondary. Their depth is mostly shown in the choices that they are making.
Okay.
For example, in probably I'll just digress a bit, but in say in Veil of Shadows, the Vikram, he allows the scientist to be kidnapped. Okay. So he is more of a gambler. Okay. That's how you would say that he's a gambler. Okay. Right. He's taking that risk. In a murder mystery, in this kind of a scenario where it's all is opulent, right? It's a much more slower pace. Yeah. You let it through dialogues. Okay. You let it through mannerisms, how they're sitting, how they're dressing, how it might just be a one word answer. It might just be for example, like Jahangir is watching a football match between Chelsea and Liverpool, and in this scenario, Chelsea is said to be the more dominant team. Yeah. So generally, you would find people hooting for the underdogs. And saying that the underdogs should win. Like, let them put up a fight. That's how even the sentiment is. Jahangir is of an opinion, and he says that while puffing on his pipe, that no, Chelsea is the dominant player. They should bash the underdogs. Yeah. They deserve to win. Yeah. So just by this one sentence, just by this one line, what's going through his mind, you get to know the characteristic of that person.
The authority, the patriarchal society,
where he is coming from. Yeah. Like so he is like that. Because I am a lion, I have the right to hunt, even if it's for pleasure. Yeah. So that is what I'm trying to invoke here. Okay. So the process becomes very different as compared to. So it's more of family dynamics. Say two brothers playing pool and discussing something else, or maybe how even in families they have discussions over the dinner table, which is also shown here while they are having their local cuisine. Yes. So that's something that was fleshed out layer by layer, and was more to do. So again, those characters were built, and those characteristics were built, and those clues were put in all in a more methodical way as compared to the urgency of the situation. If that makes sense at some level.
Yeah. Interesting. So now when it comes to the plot building.
Right.
So now you've created, it's not fantasy at all, but then you've created a world there. Yeah. The one big Dinshaw estate that you were talking about, great. You had a very nice illustration also, but trust me, hats off to your wife for making the illustration. But without that, your writing itself did the job. From the entry to where you were turning to where the greenhouse is, where the kennel is. So that was beautifully done. So when you're building this entire plot, how do your personal journey look like when you're creating on what incidences have to happen?
So I don't know, for these three books and the ones that I'm writing right now, I see the events unfold in front of my eye. Okay. So that's how I see it. Okay. Like that's how the plot probably, and then I see the characters moving through those time and spaces. as if it's a movie playing in front of me.
Yeah.
And then I try to make it see if it has a logical sense to it.
Okay.
So then that's how we place things in time and space, and then and I believe that at some stage the characters do take over.
Okay.
If
Interesting.
that makes sense,
Okay.
that they would naturally go that way, or behave in a certain way, or be like that because of their characteristics and their quirkiness and their idiosyncrasies.
Yeah,
So-
when you think about it, yeah. Because
Yeah.
certain characters that you've given a good in-depth introduction into their
Right.
personality, after a while, when a certain incidence is happening, I could guess what this person might do.
Might do.
Like, it's also the part of whether that is correct or not.
Right.
Later you get to know when the
Yeah.
detective is actually getting
Yes,
or giving you the
yes.
answers. But yeah, I agree to it. So, your chapters also have the timestamps on it.
Yes.
So that is something very unique. I mean, everybody
Yes.
don't do that. So was there a particular reason behind adding it?
So see, how do I make? I'm taking you into a world which is created.
Okay.
It's a fiction,
Yeah.
right? Now, how am I supposed to make you believe that it is possible or it's
Okay.
plausible? You know,
Yeah.
when I'm telling you a lie,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
The closest it is to reality, the more believable it will be. Right?
True. True.
So now in my first two books, the technique that I used was, yes, I'd used time,
Okay.
but I'd also used the names of all the streets and places that are real.
Okay.
So that way the reader, whenever they, even if they want to type it out
Yeah.
on Google and
Yeah.
search it, they immediately get to know, oh yes, this is the place, this is the hotel, this is the street. So they feel yes, this is plausible. This is plausible. It can happen. Now this is an estate. It is, it is one space, and then here, how do I make you believe? So time played a major role.
Yeah.
It happened between this time and this time.
Mm.
And this is, so that's why the layout of the estate, the
Okay.
detailing of the estate,
Okay.
whether it was the koi fish pond or
Yeah.
the kennels or
Yeah.
the greenhouse or the Diana riding on her horses in that part. Of the estate, those small details became important because
Okay.
that's how you start imagining that, oh yes, on that corner of the estate she must be there.
Yeah.
He's cycling through there, so he
Yes.
must have crossed that. He's in the apiary with the bees and just without any suit and listening to the hum of the bees.
Yeah.
So those are the things that probably now nobody does that.
Mm.
But so that's where the exaggeration comes into
Yeah.
play. That's where the time and so slowly I'm getting the reader to start imagining it and making it believe to themselves that yes, it is real and it is happening in front of their eyes.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so this is a curiosity question.
Right.
Like my question actually may sound stupid, but what exactly is the difference between when it comes to a thriller
All right.
and a mystery? Because you can always conceive a mystery also to be a thriller because
Yes,
your incidences
yes,
are very thrilling.
yes,
So
yes.
where exactly, from a writing perspective or a genre perspective, what is that differentiation?
I would probably say that a thriller is something that makes you turn the page. It's something that will make you bite your nail.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe, but probably there's also a fine line between the two of them.
Okay.
It's not so distinguishable.
Yeah.
Also, a mystery is something which will be a bit more slow burnish. Maybe. Maybe it'll take its time to tell you why it is happening or what
Okay.
is going on.
Okay.
There are deeper layers. Probably a Freda McFadden book would be a perfect thriller.
Thriller. Yeah.
You would
Yeah.
call it as a perfect thriller,
It's a
any of it,
thriller.
because
Yep.
there is like page on page, nothing is happening, and still so much is happening. Like if
Yes.
I'm able to
Uh-huh.
say it in a right way,
Okay.
like few characters, and suddenly the situation becomes very tense, and and there may be a murder or something. So her narrative is fast.
Okay.
It makes you want to think.
Okay.
So I think that is how and the mystery is something which is more of an older style of probably writing also. how an Agatha Christie book would be, that there are characters.
Solving
becomes important. It's a more of a slower approach.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, even I don't know.
I'm like,
That's why even I was curious.
But probably that's how I would
Okay,
take
let's
it.
say that for now, that that's how it is.
Maybe.
Who knows? Maybe everybody, I mean, for
Yeah.
me, I felt the question was
Everybody
stupid, but I think everybody has that same
has
doubt.
a take. Maybe everybody would have a different take on it also.
Could be. So, today in our country, a lot of murder. I mean, we open the news, 99% is bad news, of course. So, is there any real incidences that inspired for this story or something like that?
No. So one thing that I generally try to keep away from is real instances.
Okay.
And my reason is very clear. That one is that you would require a lot of see, somebody's gone through it, so there is a humane angle to that. Second of all, you would require a lot of NOCs and declarations from people and permissions from people. So that's another ball game. The legal ball game is totally a different. I mean, if you're trying to do it ethically, but yeah. So there's an entire legal aspect to it, and then there is a humane aspect to it. That I wouldn't want to make name or buck or money from somebody's who's gone through it.
Misery.
Right? Somebody's misery. Now just imagine that somebody may have gone through it, and then their extended family or family members and somebody just comes across. It becomes a bit daunting to so no, this is I write, this is an entertainment.
Okay.
I'm clear about it. The book is an entertainment. You're paying $300 for a thrilling ride, probably like a roller coaster, and it should the story should be worth your time. You should feel the thrill, you should feel the mystery, and also maybe depending upon where you are in life, you can also take something away from the characters, from the quirkiness, and if you do actually like the story, then you can have a conversation around it, and that's the ultimate victory for a book, if there is a conversation around.
That's a good take. So what was your research process like? I'm sure when you were, reading other books alone would not have been enough. You might have had to go back into some case files and everything. What was your process like?
So no, of course, there were no case files in this kind of scenario. Yes. So my research involved around 2-3 aspects. One was I was using a Parsi family.
Okay.
It's the Parsis. But I didn't. A lot has been done by Bollywood and by other authors. That the moment you think of Parsis, there are a few cliches that come to your mind, Dikra and Bawa. I did not want to use any of that in my book. Right? I was very clear that just because they're Parsis, I did not give them that typical nomenclature or way of speaking, and that that way of speaking or way of behaving which is expected. What I used instead was their culture. So their love for grandfather clocks, their love for them being particular, them dressing well, them speaking in a stylish way, behaving in a stylish way. They're rich, right? And it's a rich community also. Like the people who are very well read, very well traveled. So not just this family, but the Parsis in general. And also their food. I brought out their food on the dining table, which is their food. So they might be living in the hills, but it's the cuisine that they have is what I try to bring about, and I think that was a research aspect that I wanted to do. So I was very clear that I will not give the readers that, let the readers also feel that they've learned something. So their love for art is shown through the paintings that they have in their house, and so those were the small things that I used basically to. So that was the research. The other part of the research was the more logical ones, is that how human mind behaves during different how they sit in an interview, So those
Okay.
small aspects,
Yeah.
how a body behaves after it dies.
Yeah.
So after death,
Yeah.
a certain character dies, and so what happens to the body,
Okay.
and or so there is a discussion, after the death,
Yeah.
after the death,
Mm.
and everybody's trying to decide what to do with the dead body.
Yeah.
So at that point of time, nobody is concerned as to what is right.
Mm.
What everybody is concerned about is that their thought or their
Opinion,
idea or their
yeah.
opinion should be the one which prevails.
Oh yeah.
So how those are the nuances about human behavior and how we behave in
Yeah.
different situations
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
in our everyday lives. We
Crazy.
forget what we are trying to achieve as a group.
Yeah.
We just want to achieve, we want our opinion or our thing to come out on
Yeah.
top. So those were the things that I started to use, and those were the things which I was researching about, basically.
Okay. Wow.
So the research went into those aspects of.
Okay, that's crazy. There are a few topics in this that I wanna deep dive into.
Yeah.
Throughout, you were very, very evidently, very clearly describing a person's behavior,
Yeah.
how they turned, how they sat, how their
Yes.
legs were shivering, how for some time they sat with their legs crossed in a big chair,
Yes.
but then when time or some situation is changing, they're slowly stooping or
Yes.
they're getting that nervousness kicking in.
Yes.
So that's a lot of effort to actually put into words
Yes.
and get a person to understand that as well.
Right.
And your detective also is somebody who is always proud of her ability to read people's mind.
Right.
So again, there is a huge psychological aspect that you're actually adding into the book.
Right.
So this might have been tough, right?
Yes, it was tough. Also because, see, you have to observe
Yeah.
other people,
Yeah.
how they behave in a scenario.
Okay.
You have to observe yourself.
Okay.
You have to learn from your own past experiences,
Yeah.
how you may have
Yeah.
behaved in certain situations. We've all had happy times and nervous times and tense times in our
Yeah.
lives because of some other
Yeah.
different reasons.
Yeah.
But when you start going back and you start analyzing that, this was the time when I was biting my nails, this is the time when I was like sitting like this,
Okay.
hoping for an answer, hoping
Yeah.
for a result,
Yeah.
and then there was a time when I was actually very confident and sitting like this.
Okay.
So the moment I changed my body language, I
Okay.
changed everything. I also changed the way my mind is thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
My mind is also communicating with the
Yeah.
body, and the body is communicating
Yeah.
with the mind.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm sending out a message very different to what, like when I'm sitting like this as compared to when I'm sitting like this.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
so everything then because there are only a certain number of tools that I had at my disposal. So the idea was that the story should not be boring. You
Yeah.
need to engage the reader,
Yeah.
and you also need to take the mystery forward.
Yeah.
So how do you do all of these things? So you start using all the elements and all the tools that are there to ensure that it holds together.
That's cool. So how far have you personally evolved thanks to this research and learning that you
Quite
have?
a lot, because you keep reading, you keep learning,
Yeah.
and then you keep researching. Also, at times you try to break it down and then try to think that, but is it possible for somebody to fake it?
Okay.
So you also try to do those things with yourself, and see that is that during tough times, is your mind actually so much in control that it's trying to fake just a posture, or does it actually give in after 5 minutes, and there is some clue that it leaves out. So you try to do it. You try to think about these exercises so that you understand how a character might think, might behave, to make it more interesting.
So for me, this was, I think, I don't remember if this is like the first Indian or the murder mystery that I've read, but this is like even if I've read before, I don't think I really remember. Thrillers, definitely yes. Where murder is also involved.
Yeah.
Thrillers, definitely yes. But this clues and all of these.
This was a
pieces,
classic.
This is a classic murder mystery. So, and I come from Kerala, where our movies are known for the depth of it. So when I'm reading the book also, there were so many movies that I'm going back to, thinking of how the character was built, all the scenes were showcased. So it was like a very nice, immersive experience and altogether. So now as a writer, as a personal question, but as a writer, from your book 1 to your book 3, how have you changed your writing style?
Oh, it has changed quite a lot. It has changed quite a lot, and it is evolving because see, as you go, you've consumed so much more. So much more has happened in the world. Either through, you've consumed through news, through Instagram. You've read so much more material. You've seen something new, right? You've had different experiences, and you've traveled. So all of this, then you've met some new people. Some quirky character on the street you've observed. So something keeps playing on your mind. And then with all of that, like, so I wouldn't be able to write any of my books in the same way. You know, because now I've changed.
True.
It's like that. So now I would do it in a very different way.
It's about the you at that point
at that point of time. What the sum of my experiences at that point of time, which also probably changes because writing is also not a one day, but it takes at least 6 months. So like for example, in my 4th book, like which is now going to come soon, also through the same team that got you a Murder in Dehradun, is titled Twisted, Tangled and Trapped. So it's a revenge.
Twisted, Tangled and Trapped.
So it's one book, but it has 3 subparts in the same book. Twisted, Tangled and Trapped. And it's a revenge come murder mystery plot. But here every like the entire book is written from the perspective of each character.
Wow.
Right? Each chapter is from the perspective of one character. So those characters may be telling the truth, they may be lying, or they may be saying in their limited understanding of what is going on. So so now I've taken an extremely different approach towards writing as compared to the first 3 books, which were written like with the author's voice, as probably as me as the narrator in the 3 books. Writing the 4th one, wherein there is no author's voice, was a very challenging experience. But I mean, so that's how we evolve. We try to challenge ourselves. We try to think of something new.
So what changed in your writing process? Like author's voice, as a reader, you always feel when you're reading a book with an author's voice, we feel that, okay, there is an empire. There's somebody moderating the whole scenario. Somebody is telling us in a non-biased fashion, because the author doesn't have favorites in the characters. Now, as a reader, I can build my favorites according to what you tell me, but you're giving me a very non-biased picture of every single scenario. But the moment it comes to the character voice, then the narration is changed. Now, somebody who is a very mean person, he will tell everything in the similar way. Somebody who's extremely kind, the world is full of sunshine for them. They tell it in that way.
So my biggest thing was of doing this, that I drew the characters to grey. I mean, all of them are grey. So now while we were editing, it's a very funny story. Like, it's more of a behind the scenes trivia. But see, the thing, when we were editing, so my editors were like, but this does not go with the with the character. And I'm like, it does go, because what you need to understand is that humans are grey. Just because this person may have done this does not mean that they cannot do this.
You love one person and hate that person at the same time.
That's a very binary way of looking at it. So we're trying to create that world which is like extremely grey, and where there is fluidity in terms of that there is this person who's saying things or who's explaining things from his perspective, and then there is another perspective from so those perspectives come into play. But so as authors, the biggest thing that satisfies us is when we are able to challenge ourselves and write something new, write something what we have been observing, how we have been seeing the world. and I think that's how these books come into play.
Wow. So you're very casually telling about all these experiences and the differences and everything. But as a listener, when I'm listening to it, it's very high technical stuff that you're talking about. Like I'm sitting here and trying to figure out, dude, if I want to try and write a book, there's a lot of complicated stuff coming in around. So your writing journey, did you have a formal training, or is it all out of now experience that you're
So
building
no, I
in?
did not. But I've always been a reader.
Okay.
I've been reading since I remember.
Okay.
So I know that in class third is when I have good memories from when I used to
Yeah.
be in the library.
Okay.
We
I
used
think
to have a
it's me
library
also,
period.
it's class
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
Class 3 is probably when you start. So reading a bit before that, I remember that my mother, my nanny, they would all tell me stories,
Mm.
and so stories has always been a part.
Okay.
It's just so happened that during COVID, it was just one of those times that you think about that is this all that is to life? And then when you
Okay.
start, so then you have a
Ah.
creative
Okay. Yeah.
outlay.
Yeah.
Linchpin, I never thought in my wildest dreams that it will be a full-fledged story, or it would get published.
Okay.
I just started to write.
Did you ever
That
think
was
that
not,
you will be an author?
no,
Okay.
that was not. I just started to write,
Okay.
and there were these different scenarios in my head, and I just started to write.
Okay.
That's how it happened. Like it just kept. I asked a very close. So I believe, like, see, with me, there's a group of people and one or two close friends. So we keep just exchanging ideas on what book you are reading, and I believe that's with everybody
Your
who's a
personal
reader.
book club.
Yeah. So you keep discussing books, and
Yeah.
you keep taking
Yeah.
recommendations or throwing recommendations.
Yeah.
So I asked him that I have a few ideas, and would you like to write a book with me? And he said, nobody's going to read. You just chuck it. So, and I also believed him.
Okay.
There was like absolutely no way that probably would think of becoming authors.
Yeah.
And but I just started writing, typing it on the computer. It happened, and then I reached 11,000 words, 15,000, 19,000. By 23,000 words, I was like 23, 25. I was like, maybe this can become a book.
Proper novel.
A book.
Yeah.
So it happened. So
Nice.
I just wrote a story. Till it was completed, also I had no idea of taking it to a publisher. I asked an elder brother, like a cousin of mine, that I have written a book. Would you edit it? And he is very good at quite proficient with language and with grammar, and then he's much older to me. So he's like, if you've written shit, I'm not doing it. If there are grammatical errors in it, I'm not doing it. So I was like, no.
God,
I have done.
Tough crowd.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I've done. I believe it's a good story.
Okay.
I also believe that I'm not a grammar Nazi or anything, but I believe that there shouldn't be too many
Major
grammatical
errors.
major errors. So he's like, yeah, give it to me then. So then when he said now and then, he asked me, okay, I've gone through some bits of it.
Yeah.
Now you want me to edit it.
Okay.
Is okay, but do you want to take it commercially and you want me to edit it from that angle, or is it just for you and your friends and family? Then I'll just tell you where to how to do it.
Okay.
That was the first time
You thought.
and on that call, I had never thought of it before that. So on that call, when he asked me, something hit, and I was like, no, I'm taking it commercially.
Wow.
I will do it commercially.
Nice.
So that's how it happened with me.
Wow.
And that happened, then I enjoyed the process of writing so much that I wrote a second one. By the time I wrote my second one, my mother was like, since he really loves to it, but I am done with his spies and bombings and everything. Let him write a murder mystery.
Okay.
So that's how this came about.
Go, mom.
Yeah, that's how this came about. But then now she wants me to continue down this path.
Okay.
So because there was another murder mystery that the fourth one is but I wanted to do it in a very different way so that it doesn't become boring for myself also and for the readers. So I wrote it from the perspective of every character and like with no author's voice in it. And there is a revenge angle to it, and so Twisted, Tangled and Trapped came about that way.
This shows the work of an artist who's so committed and invested in the art. No, which is really nice. I mean, when somebody's expressing how the work has been meaningful for them, that's like a great story for us listeners or readers, for us to know also. So I'm sure everything was not bright and sunny in your writing journey. What were the challenges, some of the challenges you faced?
See, the thing is, I don't know if I would say it as a challenge. It's been a learning journey. Because see, when you decide to do something commercially and the economics start getting involved, then there is, because now you are expecting somebody to pay money and their time, the reader, to pay their two most expensive commodities, their time and their money for your book, right? So now you need to get a publisher on board. They need to edit it to a certain level. You need to have a title which is catchy enough, a book cover which is catchy enough. Then suddenly now this book needs to be marketed enough so that people know about it, right? It's not just about gaining positive reviews or, you know, hammering yourself, telling, oh, that what a good job that I've done. The idea of marketing is that a person sitting in any corner of India right now should know that this is an option. They should know that A Murder in Dehradun is out in the market. Yes, it's one of the books available in the sea of books. Then whether if the blurb, if they like the blurb, they like the synopsis of the story, they think it's good for them, then they can. So the choice should go to them. You know, so that is where marketing helps. But then again, it becomes essential because everybody's money starts getting involved in this process. You know, then the bookshelf is a highly contested space in bookstores. Then the distributors who are taking the book and keeping it in the warehouse and giving it to the bookstores, the publisher who's printed an X number of copies for you. So that is a journey which it took me time to understand. The first book gave me quite a lot of understanding on how this ecosystem works, because I come from a very different business background. We don't do this as a family. Like, nobody in my family has been an author. So to understand the economics of this took me the first book.
Sometime,
it took me some book, and now I can actually publicly say this, because now we're sitting the date and time we're sitting on, the return of rights has been signed with my first publisher. So I have taken that book back from them. No ill feelings. It's just taken because they were working on a very different way. I've taken the book back from them, and now I have actually given it to the same team who's brought out A Murder in Dehradun. So it will be going to Paper Towns and Simon & Schuster, and so it will be first listed by Paper Towns and then onwards into the distribution channel. So the idea was always, see, it takes time to understand the economics. Nothing comes for free. So if you are in it for the long term, you will take it in your stride, right? It is also it is how should I say it? It is expensive to learn. It is not been a cheap learning. It has not been a cheap learning. But it has been worth it. It has been worth it. It has taught me so much about life, about how and also you know, Naghma, because I'm committed to it, it's made me improve my story writing, because I had that learning now, because I spent that money, and burnt that time. Now I am more conscious about the quality of work that I'm putting out.
Oh, that's a nice way of putting it.
Right?
Oh, that's good. So, when Murder in Dehradun is a book that out of the so competitive space in the bookstores, which you were talking
Right.
about. It's available in almost all the bookstores now,
Thank you.
which means the book is actually doing good. So when it came to the marketing after the launch and you started doing with some of the marketing activities, what worked for you?
See, very honestly, I'll tell you what worked for me. I do my marketing through the Bookaholics.
Okay.
And basically it's Mr. Manik Jaiswal. So it was to a large extent his brain
Okay.
that worked
Yeah.
for me. And so we spoke, we're transparent with each other. He understands this space. So and I believe in his capabilities and his vision as to where he is trying to take things to.
Yeah.
So and we've had our fair share of fights.
Okay.
Also.
Of course.
So but see, when two people do work together, there is always a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And hats off to him. He is patient that way. I don't know, but mostly authors and our breed of people tend to be impatient and tend to be moody also. So but see, these things happen when commerce is involved and when you're trying to make a product successful. Also, you're trying to tell people that it's out there, and when you see that, oh, but this reel did not get that kind of an engagement. Will it inform people that it's out there? And so but when you see the larger picture, I think it has somewhere, at least the message is gone. I still hope I still think there's a scope for a lot more, because as long as the discussion around the book keeps happening, some people may say, oh, but I did not enjoy this part of the story, or I did not like this about the story. There will be people who will love it, there will be people who will hate it, there will be people who will have mixed feelings about it, but as long as the discussion is going around it, I'm happy. Because that means that it's playing in people's mind. It's still relevant. Relevance is more important. Some people might just take a line or two out of the book and nothing more. But as long as it is relevant, it is making sense.
Makes sense, totally. That's a full-fledged journey that you had with the book, and I'm so glad that at least with the 3 book, you have a journey that is so satisfactory for yourself itself. And I want to really wish you good luck with your new books.
Thank you.
So now, one last question from my end. As a writer who did not have formal writing training and learning and all of that, but now has become so invested into it, what worked for you in terms of being consistent in your writing journey, evolving, learning more, applying it? Because there are a lot of writers out there who really want to, or it could be readers who want to become a writer, but at some places, yes, they're still trying to do it. Everybody keeps telling, okay, there is consistency is important. You keep writing, and people are keeping on writing. But still, there are places where they are not able to cross a chasm, or they're not able to kind of step out. So is there anything that worked for you, a tip that you can give to the writers?
See, I can tell you what probably worked for me, or how I behave, is that if you really want to do something, you'll find a way to do it. That's one. Plus, it should give you enough pleasure that you're literally sacrificing your sleep every day to be able to do it. So, I have a family. Then after my wife sleeps and all, at night I'm writing mostly, right? It's a solitary journey of finding yourself and trying to find a voice and give a spine to the characters and the voices that are in your head. That is so it requires a lot of stamina. In a lot of ways, it is, but in the end, it is fulfilling. Not seeing your book in the market. Don't write for that. Write for yourself, because you are enjoying. I enjoy writing. It's when the moment the book finishes, then the painful process starts of actually getting it into the market and doing all of that. But when I am actually writing, it's more like how probably a lion would feel when it's hunting on the savannah plains.
Wow. Okay.
You know, with its sights on a prey,
Yeah.
and it's trying to create an ambush,
Yeah.
and you're trying to create that scenario,
Yeah.
that thrill,
Yeah.
and then you just go and grab
Mm.
onto it, or at least you attempt to.
Mm.
So that is the rush that you feel
Yeah.
while creating a scenario, you know, a story,
Yeah.
characters, even when they're idiosyncratic and they're doing something silly, and you laugh yourself when it's
Yeah,
happening like
yeah.
that. So those are the things. If that gives you enough pleasure,
Yeah.
you will find a way to drive yourself to actually do it.
Hmm. True. Well, that's a very nice way of putting it. I went a little deep.
Huh?
The one quick question as
Right.
the last question. According to you,
Right.
amongst all the murder mystery books that you've read,
Yeah.
what is a perfect murder mystery book?
Well, if my publishers would right now say that it's a murder in Dehradun,
Okay.
right? So please do buy the book. I have done the marketing part. I've tried to sell myself.
Okay.
But the perfect murder mystery book is where the reader is engaged,
Okay.
where in the end that aha moment comes, and the reader feels, oh, we missed that. Those
okay,
are the
the
clues.
missing part.
The missing, where the reader feels that, oh, we've missed that clue.
Okay.
You know?
Why so? Like if
It gives you like that gives the reader the kick. I feel like it's given me the kick
Could
all my life. That,
be,
you know,
yeah.
the inability to guess,
Yeah.
and that eagerness to guess throughout the story.
True. Otherwise, we say it's too predictable.
Yeah, it's too. So trying to beat the story, trying to beat the narrative is what I don't know. Like I've tried to achieve the same thing here. I don't know if I've been able to do it. I hope so. For maximum number of people, I have been able to do it. But it's that the moment you start reading it and you're like, no, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna guess. You know, who's gonna get murdered and who has done the crimes.
Yeah.
So the moment and then throughout the story, a part of your brain is trying to beat that narrative, right? And if in the end if you're able to do it, you'll actually be like, oh, but I was able to do it. But if you're not able to do it, that rush,
Okay.
oh, but this is why I was not able to do it.
Okay.
You know,
makes sense.
nobody likes getting
Yeah.
beaten up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
at a game,
Yeah.
you feel very bad, but then
Yeah.
that's the rush of it.
But yeah, in a
You feel
thriller
the
or a
rush.
game, if you get beaten is when you tell that it is actually a good
Yes.
one. Wow. Okay, makes sense. I think you should convert this into a game. You should. But then jokes apart, Shraddha, like personally as a reader, for me,
Right.
this was an amazing ride.
Thank you so
I
much.
was so glad
Thank you.
that authors like you are coming up.
Thank you.
Like I said, this is my first ever murder mystery genre.
Right.
From an Indian writing perspective.
Right.
Agatha Christie, I think I've read all the books,
Yes.
so that's a different story altogether. So thank you so much for
Thank
bringing
you.
this. Now I'm
Thank you so
really
much.
looking forward to what you have more to offer.
Oh,
Now I'm
yes.
personally interested because you said about the differences.
Right.
Your way of writing
Way
changed,
of
the
writing.
evolution. So now
Yes.
I'm more curious. What more can I expect? So the
Right.
bar has been set higher.
Yes.
So
yes.
please make sure you
Yes.
answer
watch
all the
out.
writers.
do watch this space. Twisted, Tangled, and Trapped shall drop this year. Hopefully
Definitely.
soon. Yes.
So thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for making us an accomplice in a murder right
please.
now. So have an amazing journey as a writer,
Yes.
and wishing you all the very best.
Thank
Any
you.
last message that you want to give it to the readers?
I just hope that you enjoy the book, and do check out my other works also and my upcoming works also, and I hope it's worth your time and money. And thank you for indulging me.
Thank you.